So for this video here, we're going to be spending some time reviewing two-dimensional measurement and some of the shapes that you know from the past. So this asks for the perimeter of the triangle. So the first thing that you always do when solving a measurement question is you start with the formula. So you always show your formula. For a triangle, it is side plus side plus side, or add all sides. You're going to quickly realize that one side is missing. You're also going to realize that, although it didn't have it, it should have had it, that this is a 90-degree angled triangle. So to find the missing side, we can use Pythagorean theorem. And in this case, because we're given the hypotenuse, we're going to be solving for one of the other sides, so we can use the formula with the subtraction. And so we're going to show our work to find the missing side. And then we're going to square root that. And we're going to get 6.24, etc., etc. So we're going to round that to the nearest tenth. And now we have the missing side. So now we can come back to perimeter. We have our formula line. Then we always do a work line where we're substituting in the measurements that we have. And then we can get our final answer. And that is the perimeter of a triangle. So again, for every question, you need a formula, work, and an answer. You need a minimum of 3 lines. You can have more than 3. You need to have a minimum of 3. Let's look at another example. So this one says, find the area of the highlighted part. So whenever you have a highlighted part, there's actually going to be 2 areas. This has the area of the rectangle, and we're going to take away the area of the triangle. So let's find each of those pieces. So let's start with a formula for rectangle. And there's the area of the rectangle. And now for area of the triangle, base times height divided by 2. So there's the area of the triangle. To get the shaded region then, or the highlighted region, all we need to do is area of the rectangle minus area of the triangle. Again, it's important that you show all of your work. And don't forget that you want to have units with your final answer as well. So don't forget, up here, the units aren't so important necessarily because that's in your work, but for your final answer, you want to make sure that you have units. If you added them up in here, that would be fine as well. Let's look at one more example. This one involves a circle. So remember, circumference is just a fancy word for perimeter of the circle. And the formula for circumference is pi times diameter. Remember that diameter is the distance across the circle. So that would be this distance here. The radius is half the diameter. So just keep that in mind. So pi times diameter is pi times 8. For all of these questions, we're going to make sure that we use the pi button on our calculator. So you need to have a scientific calculator, and you need to be able to find where your pi button is. And then this particular question is going to give you 25.1327, etc. Then you always have to look at what it asks you to round to. Usually it will say to the nearest tenth. Sometimes it will say to the nearest hundredth. In this case, it says to the nearest hundredth, which means 2 decimal places. So you're going to write 25.13. Don't use 3.14. We do want you to use your pi button and then round your answer. Area of a triangle or of a circle is pi times r squared. So again, if we look up here, diameter is the distance across the circle. Radius is half the diameter. So the radius goes from the center to the outside edge. It's half of the diameter. So in this case, the radius is the diameter divided by 2, or is 4 in this case. So we're going to do pi times 4 squared. Again, we're just going to punch that into our calculator, and we'll get 50.2654, etc. Now, because this said round to the nearest hundredth, that means to 2 decimal places. Now, when you do this one, it's 50.265. And so that 5 tells you that you have to round up. So you're actually going to have 50.27 as your answer. And then don't forget area is centimeters squared. Actually, I think I might have forgotten that. I did. I forgot that on this one. So don't forget centimeters squared for area. So that's how you find circumference, and that's how you find area, and that's the relationship between diameter and radius. So often it won't give you both. It will give you one or the other, and you just have to find the missing one.